So Doki Doki
Oh,
Literature Club.
sorry, I'm cutting you off. You better start again.
Oh my god. So Doki
Oh, don't we
Doki.
have to? Oh,
Fuck.
wait a minute,
I'm
wait a
gonna
minute.
fucking kill
Don't we
you.
have to go to time.is and clap?
No, we don't. We don't have to do that at all.
Okay, I'll be quiet and let you do your...
So Doki Doki Literature Club. It's a game that came out ages ago. I managed to avoid spoilers. I put off playing it all this time. And I think that was a good thing that I put it off all this time because I got to have a pretty unique experience with it. I thought it was pretty fantastic. Everyone here except me had played it, so I'm interested to know what kind of things I could have done differently. And Chris, this was, despite this being a thing that I recorded, edited, and will be putting on my channel, this was your idea. You said that I should do this and that it would be fun, and I took your word for it. So you were behind the casting. What made you decide on who got who?
I was just trying to make it so everyone had even screen time, basically.
You didn't have like
Because
a particular like, oh, this character, like Derek would enjoy doing Yuri
I was
more than
trying to
the
give
others.
you Yuri because I knew you'd like Yuri, but I knew that Yuri was like a heavy character, basically. So I was kind of reluctant. We had a whole bunch of different variations going until the very end.
Yeah, it was pretty much a new configuration every hour up until we started.
Yeah, you gotta like, you got like the brunt of the voice acting. Regardless, it still ended up that way. But yeah, basically, I was just trying to even it out for everybody.
Yeah, well, that's perfectly fine maybe, but because this was a video that I was doing, I kind of wanted to take on the responsibility of doing the most reading instead of like asking you guys that were just joining me for funsies to do more of the work. So I was pretty okay with that. I know that Rob initially seemed the most reluctant to participate, despite his incredible performance. Rob, did you have fun?
Yeah, it was fun. It was definitely a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I kind of just leaned into it and went with it.
And I
It was
think
a good time.
I'm really glad that you did because you were really funny and charming to listen to as Sayuri, for
Well,
sure.
thank you.
Kelsey was
Thanks.
another kind of last minute adjustment because I know for a while we were deciding who would actually do two of the girls, which I think would have ended up being a pretty bad idea because they would sound too similar. I'm really glad that Kelsey joined us near the end there. Did you have fun, Kelsey?
Yeah, I was happy to be included.
I was happy to have you included.
Something.
You did a lovely Natsuki.
Thank you. I did my best.
So Chris, you were probably the first one to play it. How was your playthrough different to mine?
Well, you went down Yuri's path first, and then you switched to Natsuki, and then you went back to Yuri, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened.
I went all the way. So I played it first. I can't remember. Maybe a year or two after it came out, and yeah, I knew nothing about it. I had like no. I avoided spoilers. I don't even know. I can't even remember why I played it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
I think
because
it was just
that
because
really, if you didn't know what that was, that doesn't look like something you would be particularly clamoring to play.
I think it was like right at the beginning of when I was like really getting into anime, and then I heard it was like, oh, it's like, oh, it's kind of like a psychological horror game, and I'd probably like just watched like Evangelion or something, so I was like, oh, that'll be cool. And then it's like this dating sim. Yeah, so I just kind of went with it. But yeah, I went down Yuri's path when I played it, and then I convinced Kels to play it, and she didn't know anything about it either, and she went down Natsuki's path. So I saw both those paths, and yeah, you kind of flip flopped. You had Yuri for the classroom stuff, but then you had the weekend date with Natsuki, so it
Yeah,
was a bit of a different kind of run.
I I like both Natsuki and Yuri a lot for different reasons. Like they're both pretty like those are like my top two favorite anime girl archetypes. So it really was hard to decide. But as we got further into it, I was definitely Yuri was definitely first place in my heart, with Natsuki as a close second. And
Not
also
Sayori though.
Sayuri was a close third, and then Monica was a pretty far fourth. I actually
Yeah.
until it gets to the end where she plays a much bigger role, I wasn't really caring much for Monica. She didn't have any like fun traits about her. She was just kind of like a nice girl. She didn't have anything like particularly
She's like
different or
the
unique about her. But I feel that was completely intentional. You're supposed to kind of
Yeah,
disregard her.
it doesn't give you the option to hang out with her at all. So
Yeah,
she's like the student council president, athletic, popular girl archetype.
yeah,
It's a fairly well used archetype, but yeah, you don't really get to know Monica at all, and
yeah,
that is intention. That's completely intentional.
yeah. So that's fine. You really do start to like her near the end though, because you had said that you have a very big fascination for rogue AI type things, right?
Yeah, Monica's basically a rogue AI villain. That's what she. That's the big reveal at the end is
Yeah,
that she's a
that's a
rogue
really cool
AI.
thing. I haven't seen that done a whole lot, but the times I have, I thought it was really cool.
Like Shodan, and System Shock. I don't know if you guys have played that, but that's a
I
really
no,
cool rogue AI.
I haven't played it, but I'm familiar. Does GLaDOS count?
yeah, that's a
Yeah,
rogue.
yeah,
Yeah,
kind of. Yeah, she's an AI. She has like the personality of a head of Aperture's secretary's personality is implanted in her or something, and it's gone bad.
Yeah, that's probably
Hal is a rogue AI. Hal, you
Yeah,
know Hal?
Hal from
Uh,
2001.
yeah, 2001: Space Odyssey.
I think Mass Effect had a DLC that did something like that, where they
There's all sorts of rogue AIs in Mass Effect.
yeah, but
They go back
they
quite
had
a
one
lot.
that was like particularly focused on it. But yeah, there are a lot of side quests that aren't as fleshed out. So, Chris, is Monica your favorite character then?
When I first played, Yuri was, but I guess more experience I've had with the game, the more I started to like Monica. And yeah, so I'd say Monica is my favorite character because she even says like the other characters are just kind of like 2D cutouts or one. Well, what are they? I guess yeah, 2D cutouts, and she's like the only. She's like a. I don't know how to explain it. She's like a real entity kind of, and she's trapped in the game. And I don't know. She just has like she has the most character development in the end, and it's really interesting the way that they did it too because her character develop. You don't even really see her develop. You get it's like the ending shows that she's been developing as a character, but you don't see the character development as the story's going. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's a very unique. That's what I love so much about this game. It's such a unique way to tell a story.
and it definitely does. It definitely subverts expectations as well. It gives you these characters. It's like, oh, I know this archetype. I've seen this a dozen times. Not that they're particularly plain. They're all still very charming in this, but it's like I know what I'm getting into with this character. But then the twists and turns start to happen, and you're like, okay, this is a lot more extreme than I was expecting.
They take the archetypes and the cliches and the tropes, and then, well, the story is that Monica kind of tweaks everything, and she kind of takes everything to the extreme. So she takes like Sayori, who has she's like the happy-go-lucky one, and she like tweaks something with her to like she has depression. I'm sure that's the thing. Like you're kind of playing a game, and the actual game you never actually get to play it, like because Sayori's not supposed to die in the real game, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, it's
you
almost as
so
if you never really get to meet the real
yeah,
characters.
you don't. That's super cool because like Sayori is like, I'm sure if the game had continued how it was supposed to, like obviously it plays how it's supposed to, but if you were playing a dating sim, like an actual dating sim with a character like Sayori, she like it would be revealed that she's happy go lucky, but she has depression, and then if you went her path, you'd help her through it and all that. But because Monica's in there as like the rogue AI, she's like tweaking Sayori, and she like turns up her depression.
Yeah, it's actually kind of implied. Like when you first realize that Sayuri is a little off, and you go talk to Monica, and Monica says, "Yeah, I'll go talk to her." It's never revealed what their exchange is.
Yeah, she even says, she's like, I should just do what Monica said or something like that. Like Monica basically told her to go kill
Yeah,
herself.
that's
Yeah,
exactly it. Like
yeah,
Monica said, well, why
That's
don't you just kill yourself and be like,
yeah, that's
it's like it shows you the thing of her doing like the programming. It shows kind of the code, but I feel like
yeah,
if she just told a character what to do, it would be almost the same thing since she's in control. So I
yeah,
imagine I
exactly.
pictured her just like disguising it as a conversation. They're having hushed tones, but she's really just saying, "You're going to kill yourself, and you're going to do that tomorrow." And Sayori probably just goes, "Well, okay, Monica," because yeah, she's in control of everything. These aren't
Yeah.
personalities; they're characters being manipulated by her. I think that's an interesting way. I also liked that a lot of times it says Monica was practicing piano, and it's not till the very end when the piano song plays that she's like, "Oh, I've been practicing this for you," and it's like, that's so sweet. It's only like brought up that she's been practicing. You don't like see her practicing. She doesn't talk about it. It's just like, "Oh yeah, I was practicing piano. I'd love to hear you play. Yeah, maybe sometime," and then that's it. But there's like a thing going on there that was kind of nice.
Yeah, I like that song a lot too. That end credits song. The first time you play the game, it hits you pretty hard.
Yeah, I found it particularly strange because none of the game is voiced, and then there's a
Yeah,
voice and it's Monica's, and it's like that definitely does the, like you had said, the standout thing where she is an existing person. She has a voice and an identity, whereas the rest of the characters are just text.
brilliant. It's brilliant storytelling. It's a new form of novel that has not really been explored and should be explored more.
Yeah,
It's like it's almost a new genre of horror.
for sure. Like I've read some of the more darker visual novels like Seiya no Yuta and Higurashi, but like they don't do the meta stuff that Doki Doki Literature Club does. They just tell a scary story like as if you were, just reading a book or anything like that. Whereas this really gets the player involved. It does, like when it messes with the main menu, the visual glitching and stuff like that. That's a really, you can't do that in any other medium.
It's almost a commentary on those types of games too, like because it's subverting your expectations of like anime tropes, and like it's showing you how kind of weird it is that these characters are falling in love with your character, and he's kind of like a dick, and he's
yeah,
like he's not a dick, but he's kind of playing all three of the girls, and you can bounce back and forth between them, and it's just this weird like meta commentary on like dating games and
yeah.
how
It exposes how strange the concept is.
yeah, it's like so weird.
Oh yeah, because your character has to be completely plain. Because like a thing like this kind of occurs in Until Dawn, for example, whereas writing multiple paths is difficult because in Until Dawn, a character could die at a certain time. Their girlfriend freaks out and cries, and then in the next scene, she doesn't seem nearly as upset because that character might not have died there. And then they'd have to like rewrite the entire thing after that point. So like main characters in like dating sims, for example, have to be as like plain and non-committal as possible, which can be really odd if you really think about it.
Yeah, and I think the game tries to show you that like how weird how weird the concept of a dating game is, and how like like the very concept of the game kind of just makes your character in the game seem like, oh, normal and cool, but then if this were like a real situation, you'd be a fucking weirdo.
Yeah, Rob, you said that the play you hadn't played it, but you had watched a different playthrough, and it was really
Yeah.
similar to mine. How did
So
the
when I watched it, it was like shortly after it came out, so it's been a long time since I
okay?
watched it.
How did they feel about it? Because this was my first time. Did they have similar reactions to my own?
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty similar, all in all.
Where
Uh,
where did you hear about it, and why'd you watch a playthrough instead of just
Mm.
downloading it for free and going through it yourself?
I don't
And it
know.
was it
I
just
didn't.
like a was it like a podcaster you liked or something, and you
Yeah,
just kind of
it was from a website I like. It was Giant Bomb.
oh,
One of the
okay.
guys on there, like he had a stream where I forget if it was like a morning thing where every morning you would just check out a weird game. and he picked that one day, and he was just gonna try it, and then he tried it and he liked it, and then the next day he continued, and I kept watching.
What was your favorite girl, Rob?
I don't know. I guess either Sayori or Natsuki.
I really like the small feisty characters. They're always fun.
The Sundere.
Sure. I'm not that into anime or those kind of archetypes or anything like that, so I don't really have a favorite.
I liked all the characters a lot though. Like they all have their certain charms that are different from each other. Like Yuri, uh, from a physical standpoint, not like my preferred design or anything. I don't really like tall and busty isn't particularly appealing to me, but like her
Gross.
her shyness is just so charming and cute that you can't help but fall in love
I
with her.
disagree.
I also disagree.
I honestly, every time she would grab her hair and turn to the side,
Oh, and she puts her
it
like
made
hand
me
to her chest
physically
and like it
ill.
has to like go
It made me ill. It made
Physically
me
ill.
physically ill.
Kelsey-
I had a barf bucket by me the whole time.
It was disgusting.
Oh wow.
Well,
Just the
was it full?
sight.
Kelsey, you're really sounding like Natsuki right now.
Kels, I think we really need to get to the meat of the matter here.
What's
Kels,
that?
okay. If you had to have lesbian
Oh.
with one of the 4 girls, which girl would you have lesbian sex
You
with?
can cut one out. She obviously
Yeah,
does a
not
lot.
Yuri.
I'm
like
gonna
Yuri.
cut Yuri out because she'd probably do that
She'd
hair
probably-
thing.
Yeah, you'd be downstairs on her and she'd be twirling her hair around and acting shy.
And I'd barf.
Well,
I don't know. I'm not.
Natsuki? Yeah.
No, I'm
She's so
saying.
young.
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I would feel like a predator. I'm gonna go with Monica
Me too.
because she seems the oldest.
Well,
Yeah,
you're supposed to
that's
put
actually
yourself
good.
in the position of like it's the same
She's
age.
definitely
You're in the same school
she's
as
definitely
them.
drawn. She's drawn
He
as
asked who I would.
yeah.
I suppose.
That's a good
She's-
point, though. I
She's
never.
She
drawn
is
as
like
the most
a-
mature,
Yeah,
and
she
she
acts
acts the most
mature.
She's
mature.
like a motherly, which sounds bad to what I just said, but
Well,
she's
yeah,
like a motherly.
it's because she's in charge.
Yeah, and she doesn't turn her head.
Yeah, it's almost as if the other characters don't have the capacity to be in charge. You know?
Yeah, they're all little babies.
Yeah,
Until
they're
the
all
ending,
really immature.
So, well, and
and
yeah,
Sayori gets to be in charge.
Is she really though? Not really.
I don't know. It's like being
Kinda like a
being in
group.
being in the head of the club like gives you some sort of weird awareness. It's like the game is cursed or something.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think
Derek, I was gonna tell you about another thing you missed. So when you were naming your character, you were like, "Oh, I'll just name him Derek,"
Mm.
and I was like, "Oh shit, you're gonna miss." I didn't want to spoil anything because I was like, "Oh, I wish you would have named your character TK," because there's a part at the end when you're just talking to Monica. Like she goes on and on and on for hours. She has like so much different text she can say. And one of the things she says is, "I bet." Oh, had you put your name as TK, she would have been like, "I bet your name isn't even TK. I don't even know if you're a girl or a boy. Is your real name Derek?" Because it like the game like goes into your PC and it takes your PC's name.
He wouldn't name he doesn't name his PC Derek though. He names it like weird shit.
So while it would have been like, "Is your real name Sephiroth?"
well, what? Hold on. What would it have taken? Would it have taken like my Windows username?
Yeah. What do
Yeah.
you name your PC? What's your like C drive or whatever? What is it? What is it?
Well, I
like
mean,
it's
there's a
named?
lot of different things. Like there's a PC name, there's my C drive name, then there's like my Windows username. Like which one of those would it be?
It's your.
Alright, what-
It would be your. I don't know.
I think it's your PC's name because it was like mine is Chris's PC, and I had my name as Chrissy probably, and then she was like, "I bet your name isn't Chrissy at all. Is it Chris?" And I was like, "What the fuck?"
That's pretty
That
wild.
was it was so cool. I was like, "That's so awesome for a free game." Like
Yeah. The meta stuff is
That's so
cool.
much
Like when you
value.
when you have to like go into the file, it tells you how to access the file. Like, oh, it was easy. I just did it like this. To, to kind of say like, hey, that's how you're gonna have to do it. And I thought that
Oh,
was a
there's
fun little like nudge to do it. Anyways,
Interesting.
my PC is named Elaine. My C drive is called Neo Mandala, and I think my account name is just Derek or TK Tawa. I can't remember which.
Yeah,
that probably
one of
just
those.
wouldn't have worked. There was a part earlier on, one of the poems. At the bottom it says "delete me."
It says load me.
No, it says "delete me."
Yeah, I remember a delete one.
It said "delete
There's
me,"
there's,
and I
there's
was
one that says
wondering if
load
maybe
me as
there's
well.
something you could go in and delete one of the characters earlier, and something would happen.
I
Maybe.
having because I'm editing this like at the time there you might be thinking load me. Load me is an
Yeah, maybe.
absolutely a thing that occurred.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in Monica's poem. It's one. I think it's her first or second poem. She says "load me"
Yeah.
I
as the
think it was
last
a
line.
different character's poem said "delete me." Though. I feel like it wasn't Monica's. I don't know. I could be remembering wrong, so it doesn't really matter.
I've never tried to do that. Like just start a new game and then like delete Yuri just to see what would happen.
Yeah,
I
just
don't.
take out one of the characters.
Yeah, I wonder what would happen.
Maybe
It's interesting.
there'd be like some kind of dialogue, and then it would just put the file back. Because like
Yeah, I
the
don't know.
character folder that has the quote unquote character files obviously isn't a necessary, like those aren't the character files. I liked that it expected me to delete her character file, even though I know like the savvy person in me is like, well, that's not actually the character file, but I definitely appreciate like what you're going for here. That's really interesting.
You can do like a deep dive into the files, and there's all kinds of crazy shit in there. There's like a whole bunch of Easter eggs and stuff.
Oh yeah, I
There's
have no
like
doubt that it's full of that cool stuff.
Yeah, there's like I don't know. There's one where there's just like this little image. It's like I can't remember how to open it. It's like it's this weird file that you have to convert to an image file in a 3D program, and it's just you open it in the 3D program, and it's just like a dot or something. And then if you kind of manipulate it and move it around, it's Yuri's face, but like distorted, and her eyes are white, and she's like super pale, and it's really messed up looking. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff like that. There's more poems you can find in the files and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I like that. That's just so much work.
Very thoughtful, lots of
Yeah,
thought and work put into it.
absolutely, and a wonderful delivery in every way.
Definitely, and I'd say it's in my top. Maybe it might be in my top 3 games of all time. I really love Doki Doki.
Yeah, after the game ends, if you do go back into that character folder, everyone except Monica is back in there.
Yeah, then you basically have to start a whole new game. I think I had to uninstall it and reinstall it to
Yeah,
start
you
over
said that
again.
it becomes unplayable after you play it the first time. You have to completely remove it.
It,
Yeah,
it says
it's
that
like
in one of the system
yeah,
prompts at the end of the game, doesn't it?
yeah,
It
it
says
does.
you
It
have to
says you have to
uninstall and reinstall.
reinstall.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. I think Dan Salvado is his name. I'm excited for whatever he comes out with next.
It's
It's gotta
gonna
be pretty deep in
the
the
bar
work.
is raised pretty high though. How can you follow that up?
It's such a I don't know, but because Doki was so popular and got so much buzz, he might have been able to like his next game if he charges money for it, he might be able to make a pretty big bucks for it. So
Oh yeah, for sure.
maybe he has a team working with him now.
Yeah, that game really made a splash. Well, that was a fantastic game, and I'm glad I put off playing it as long as I could. I feel like I didn't get the intended experience, which would have been just playing it alone and really getting into it, but I feel like I made up for that with having a very unique experience. Having you guys read the dialogue to me,
Yeah.
having all my close male friends crushing on me, saying my name in romantic ways was something I'd like to happen more in the future for sure.
And Kels too. Kels making cupcakes with you.
Oh yeah,
That got kind of steamy.
it got real steamy. I could I feel like I could feel a bit of Chris's jealousy coming across. Feel it
Oh
coming
yeah.
coming
Oh
through the
yeah,
wires that moment we
you
had.
give me a death stare.
She doesn't make cupcakes for me.
I had a great time with you guys. Thank you so much, Sayuri.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Natsuki.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Monica.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Yuri. It was my pleasure. Thanks for watching.
No.